Hey there, Knicks fans. It's playoff time, and that means we're gearing up with the freshest hats and swag from Fanatics. We're buying our merch with Fan Cash since we bet with Fanatics Sportsbook, where you earn Fan Cash on your bets. Download the Fanatics Sportsbook app and start earning Fan Cash today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts residents call 800-327-5050. New York residents call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Thompson digging in defensively. 8 seconds. Brunson stops on a dime. Launches. Oh, yeah! Jalen Brunson buries it. Knicks lead by 3. The Brunson burner ignited.
Knicks trying to wait till the end. Brunson puts up a 3. Bang! Bang! Jalen Brunson hits the 3 with 4.3 remaining. And the Pistons call timeout.
Folks, say it with me now. This fucking team. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. I am here with my good friend, Benjy Ritholtz. Benjy, say something, Benjy. Say anything.
Jalen Brunson.
That's something. That's something.
What do I say? I don't know what I need you to guide me, John. I need you to take the reins. This is what you do, and I will comment because I am,
all right,
for someone who's supposed to be allegedly on a post-game show, a little bit speechless. So hit it.
So we did this game on playback, and I'm gonna look. I know let me start here. This is a great night, and I understand that this is a night of mixed emotions. I understand that this is a team that elicits many emotions, and some of them are not great. I understand all of that. But I also understand that I have been a Knicks fan for, my entire sports watching life, which amounts to a little bit more than 30 years. And I also understand that for the last 25 of those years, prior to tonight, this thing that happened tonight had happened 3 times in terms of winning a playoff series. And I know that there is a lot of conversation about what this team is and what they are not and why they elicit the emotions that they do. And I am going to respect that. And we will respect that. We will respect it moving on for however long we have left in this season. But I will not, at any point in time, diminish the fact that the Knicks won a playoff series. And I can't imagine I will ever get so old and gray that I will fail to appreciate that simple fact. Now that that is out of the way, when we were on playback watching along, and I am usually pretty cognizant of runs in terms of the specific score of runs. For some reason, I was not cognizant of the fact that in the fourth quarter, the Pistons run had gotten up to 20-2. At that moment, I said to myself, one, that they're going to lose the game. And when they do, I was going to get on here with you and I was going to open the show with an apology. And it was going to be a heartfelt apology to everybody that when this year started out, and early signs were a little iffy. There was some good stuff. There was some not good stuff. I was going to apologize to everybody who, when they would bring up last year's team, and I snapped. I bit their head off. Come on. Last year's team is last year's team. Isaiah Hartenstein left. He took the bag. Nobody blames him for that. Once that happened, last year's team was dead. They were tasked with assembling a new team. And I said, we owe this team our faith. We owe this team time. We owe this team our fandom, basically, because there's a lot of good players on this team, including players that we know leave it all out on the line. And I was going to apologize to all the people that I yelled and screamed at for the better part of 2, 3, 4 months, really almost up until the end of the season, because I was going to say, man, one, you're onto something. And two, it is a completely valid feeling to compare it, to have the skepticism and then compare it to last year, because last year's team was so special and did have something about them. And as I looked up and I saw the 20-2 run, I said, I can't not apologize for how I acted at the beginning of this year. And that was what I was going to do then. And then, Benji, then they did what they have seemed to do a lot this year. It's funny. We look at the 51 wins and we brush it off like it's nothing. We brush it off like it's a byproduct of just all kinds of games against the Washington Wizards and the Toronto Raptors and the Utah Jazz, although they actually lost the Jazz, the Charlotte Hornets, the Brooklyn Nets, so on and so forth. It wasn't. It was a byproduct of some of that, but it was also the remnants of a team that does have whatever trace amounts of whatever last year's team had. And maybe it is just Jalen Brunson. And maybe it's as simple as that. And maybe that's why the words that I asked you to say at the top of the show and the words that came to your mind were Jalen Brunson. Maybe those are the only words that need to be said. I don't think they are. And I can't wait to talk about some of the other contributors in this game. But along the way, as I got mad at myself, as I looked up at that 20-2 run, for continuing to give my belief in this team, I forgot that, like, there's a reason I still had that faith, and it isn't because I'm some idiot who blindly follows the jersey, the name on the front of the jersey, and that's it. It's because there was something about this team that I couldn't quit, and man. Between game 5 and the first 40 whatever minutes of this game, they really tested us. but they came out with a win. And what a freaking win it was. I'm spent. I'm so happy to be done with this Pistons team. I'm not ready to think about Boston, although I guess we're going to have to at least spend a moment to talk about them before I let you go. And I will say this with my full chest. I know it hasn't always been easy, but I'm proud that they won this game. And I think they should be proud of themselves. And if you're a Knicks fan and you've been frustrated for whether it's 2 games, 2 weeks, 2 months, or half of the year, I think tonight you should hold your head up high. Because that was one hell of a way to win a basketball game.
The dissonance that I'm feeling in that I, before the series, said the Knicks would win in 6 games. And here they are, having won the series in 6 games. And if that's the case, and I gave the Pistons that amount of respect to say they'd win 2, why does it feel like they underachieved in the series to me? The Knicks. And maybe I need to reconsider the way I felt about the series. Maybe. I think it's an interesting conversation and discussion to have. Of course, you have the Hardaway foul game, which theoretically this could be going to game 7 just on the basis of that, right? So maybe that has something to do with it as to why I feel the way I feel about it. But ultimately, we talk a lot about process versus results. When it comes to the postseason, and before we start analyzing what's next season, because that's where I think the process conversation goes in. But until that point, how you do in the playoffs is purely results. It doesn't matter how you win the games. It just matters that you win them. And a 20-2 run in which I had a tweet drafted that they were all diarrheaing all over their pants, the Knicks. I've rarely seen an NBA team look that scared. A bunch of veterans who have been in playoff games. And like Karl-Anthony Towns missed a free throw by 5 feet to tie the game. That was the worst free throw he has ever taken. I am confident in saying he has never missed a free throw by that much in his career. He barely reached the rim. And they were shook. And yeah, the atmosphere was amazing. I'm sure that's hard to play in, but again, these guys have all gone into the teeth of tough arenas. All of them, every single one of them. Mikal played in the finals. Pat was in Denver last year playing huge games. Like, this is not new.
No.
Obviously, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, they've been playing. It was tough to watch. They were nervous, and you could sense it. And that's crazy to me. And yet, they found something. And it's Brunson, of course. And then, irony of all ironies, it's Mikal Bridges.
I was waiting.
At the rim, getting his hands dirty on an offensive rebound. The least Mikal Bridges-like basket you could imagine. How many? I wish I had this information in front of me. How many putbacks does he have this season?
Oh, goodness. I could pull up his stats on cleaning the glass that might give us at least a.
Do they have? I mean, they have offensive rebounding they have offensive rebounding percentage. I want to know how many putbacks he has.
Yeah,
because I can't remember very many. And for him to make that play at that moment, like that he found something, and they all collectively found something. They made a lot of stops. And look. The conversation that dominated certainly the national media was like, who's the best player in the series? And I have a lot of respect for Cade Cunningham.
It's going to be really good.
But man, who do you want to have the ball down the stretch? Which guy?
Come on. Not a conversation anymore. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to look a little silly for some of those takes.
I don't know what Jalen Brunson has to do to get the respect for like how he is a top 5 playoff scorer in the world right now.
Oh yeah.
And everyone seems to want to talk about other things about him. And I get it, whatever, flop. Like, he creates things out of nothing. He goes isolation on Thompson, gets stolen. And then, although he did get the help of a little Bridges brush screen and then went the other way, they rejected it. And then with a just filthy crossover on one of the best defensive, this guy will be one of the best defensive players in the league for 10 years at least.
He's going to make a handful of all defense teams at a minimum.
And he should have his head held up high for the job he did in the series. He came a long way. He learned a lot over the course of the series. I'm sure it couldn't have had a more valuable experience. Osar Thompson, like for Brunson to almost take his shoes off to win the basketball game and then to make that shot. And by the way, he missed a couple of good threes in the last 2 minutes.
Open ones.
But when he put that up, did you have any doubt in your mind that it was going in? No. And that's Jalen Brunson for you.
Hearing you talk, we're doing a lot of like, you're the best X's and O's guy in the business, you and DJ. And we'll get to some of that, but I don't even know how you talk X's and O's about a game where like which X's and O's am I going to ask you the X's and O's about the team that played the first quarter, or the team that played the second quarter, or the team that played the third quarter, or the team that played the fourth quarter until the final 2.5 minutes? Which you want to have 4 set? You guys actually should run 4 separate X's and O's sessions after this game, because that's what it requires. I want to go back to something you said, that collectively they did play scared. Collectively they were shook. Collectively they lost all of their poise. And yet, if you go through their roster, do we think Jalen Brunson gets shook? No. Do we think Josh Hart gets shook? He's had his moments, but I would say what
he did just like throw the ball to the other team on a key possession. Like that's stuff that happens when you are feeling it though. Like that's what's, to me, I don't mean to cut you off, but like
no,
it's not to say that that means they're weak-minded players. And like we've seen Josh Hart make a million clutch plays. It's not, there's something about this situation, the way that atmosphere was, the way the Pistons have played them, the pressure that's now on this team that hasn't been on this team in the past, that in that moment, it got to them like 22 run.
So so again, normally Josh Hart, good under pressure. Normally, yes. Mikal Bridges, I know he hasn't made a lot of friends in New York this year, but the guy, as you mentioned, part of a finals team, part of successful playoff teams, obviously part of the Villanova team. It's like, he has been there. He has done it. I don't think he is susceptible to pressure. OG Anunoby, I mean, I think he's been pretty solid and held up pretty well on the whole since he's gotten here. And then you got Cat, and Cat's track record is a little bit iffier. But earlier in the series has made some plays. Mm-hmm. He has made big plays throughout his career at times. So if you want to say Cat doesn't qualify for this conversation, fine. But the other four guys do, and some really do. Here's the point that I'm trying to make. As we have struggled to figure out this team this year and asking ourselves, why, how, what? All of the questions, any questions that one could ask, we have asked about this basketball team. As we have done all of that, I think it has to come down to the fact that as a group, this has just been a struggle for them. And I think you saw that play out in the clearest of fashions in this series, where, again, we saw moments of individual brilliance. We saw moments of team brilliance. And then we saw moments where it looked like five players who had never played together before, including during that fourth quarter. And I think when you're trying to analyze this team, I think the only place that I've arrived at, and the only way that I can get through whatever lies ahead in Boston, is that this year was just a year of growth. Not to say there won't maybe be changes. I want to be very clear about that. But this is a year of growth. And you know what the thing about growth, Benji, is? Doesn't always look the way you want it. And oftentimes it is extraordinarily unpleasant. And we said it at the beginning of the year when I was yelling and screaming at all those people who were like, saying this team doesn't have it, yada, yada, yada. And I said, give it time. Maybe we just need to take this whole season and not throw it out, but chalk it up to this is what this year was always going to be. And maybe we should just look at this result, Knicks in 6, which I predicted as well, and just be happy, hey, they got it done. One way or another, they got it done. I don't know.
I love it. And that's a perfectly reasonable way to look at the series. And maybe one that, expectation can be the thief of joy. Expectations can, like any other bias, they can actually distort your understanding of the game. And
sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but that's the one thing I didn't say before. It's the coming together under the weight of the expectations that they had placed on them right. The second they made the Bridges trade, and then more so when they made the Towns trade.
Right. That's right. And they won the series in 6. I do think there was a change in the series in Game 3. And I think that change sustained through the rest of the series. The Knicks became the better team.
Yes.
And they would consistently build leads. And it just it was an amazing thing. I know I mentioned on the playback when I came on briefly before leaving, because I came on and they lost the lead within 18 seconds.
So it is your fault.
It is my fault. I got back in my living room, sat on my floor, and watched this whole thing happen. So throughout these last 4 games, it feels like they can get the lead to 8, 10, 11.
Yep.
And they just could not get it to 15, 18. They couldn't. And why couldn't they? Because that's where they're just not a 48-minute team yet. They have lapses and they do stupid things and they don't stick with what's working. They revert to bad habits individually and collectively. And it's an interesting question as to whether that is who they are, or is it a step on the way of what they're becoming? And that's an interesting conversation to have, and one that we can have and will have.
Well, I hope the front office has a good answer when the time comes. And maybe, and to be clear, they just won the series. Maybe we'll get that answer against Boston, the defending champs, who are awesome. I said it the moment they made the Drew Holiday trade. This is the perfect basketball team. You cannot, if you're going to build a basketball team in the modern league, maybe give or take a little bit more switchability from Kristaps Porzingis, like you would build the Boston Celtics. That's it. You would just build the Boston Celtics. And they're not, we know the Boston Celtics aren't going to get rattled. They're not immune to the occasional moments where they get stuck in the mud and do things that held them back from maybe winning a championship before last year. I want to go back to this game, but I'm just going to ask you flat out, are you excited for the Celtics series?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to get there. I did not want to preview Game 7 of the series because it is an amazing thing. At some point, there is nothing left to say. There are adjustments to the adjustments. And at some point, it's just like, all right, now who's going to make more shots and like not fart all over themselves? And
what would we have said after tonight?
I don't know.
Had they lost? What was there to say?
Nothing. I don't know.
Well,
I'm glad it didn't happen. But yeah, so it's like I'm excited for the series. It is great for this franchise, not only just to go to the second round as you began with, like that doesn't happen, hasn't happened for this team a lot. Not to be taken for granted. Playoff basketball is a beautiful thing. It's amazing to watch. It's fun to be invested in. But for this organization to gather information, what better way than to go up against the champs and see what you can do? They built this team in large part to compete with the Celtics. And here you are. Now, they, I think, probably anticipated this meeting happening in the conference finals, and the Cavs screwed things up by being an elite basketball team in the regular season out of nowhere. But, okay, what difference does it make? You're getting the matchup you wanted. You're going to learn what you wanted to learn. You're going to see what it looks like. You're going to hopefully put up a fight in the series. You're going to learn things about yourselves. You're going to learn things about what the roster needs. All of it's really exciting. And you're hoping the team grows together through that experience in a positive way. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to watch that series. I'm glad I get a few days off, but I'm super excited to watch that series.
I'm excited too. I think they have, again, maybe a controversial statement. I think they've earned our excitement. I think they earned our excitement in part because of what they did in the last game versus Boston. Now, Boston obviously was not really necessarily playing for a whole lot during that game. Did that impact how they played? Jaylen Brown was essentially Jaylen Brown might as well not even played in that game. And he is playing and he has done pretty well in the playoffs. So we'll see. Here's the thing, Benji, about the whole Boston thing. If you take the moments from this series, starting really in Game 3, and you called it, in the moment you called it. Starting in Game 3, when the Knicks have played well, if you give me that team versus Boston, I'm extremely excited to see what they could do. Now, if you give me the team that gave up the 20-2 run and the team that, as you mentioned earlier, had diarrhea all over itself at certain points in time, it's perfect. It's the only word. It's the only word. We both have kids. We're gonna make it a verb, an adjective, an adverb. He diarrheally vomited on himself. Yes, he did. No, it's deserved. All of the jabs are deserved because of how they have looked at times in this series. And if that team shows up against Boston, well, then that's not going to be very fun. So can you find consistency? And you know what? And for as much as I do not think the Pistons are a great team, they are not, which is part of what made the series so frustrating. I wonder how much of the fact that the Pistons, they're number one on their whiteboard, I think, muck it up. I think it was number one in bold letters with a big underline and highlighter and the whole thing. I think their whole thing was muck it up, make it physical, take them out of their comfort zone, make them make mistakes, make them give into their baser instincts. And I don't think the Celtics are going to approach the series like that because they don't need to. They're the better team. Do you think that there is any validity to that theory that I have?
I think it's no, not really.
Okay, talk to me. Because that looked to me like
I don't
game 1 to game 6 that was going to push every boundary.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if the Celtics are going to pressure full court the way that the Pistons consistently did. Like, they don't have their guys are almost too good for that. Like, who's the guy? Like, I know they show it sometimes. I mean, White will do it, Holiday will do it, but those guys don't want to do that, and they probably don't have to.
I'm talking about when Tim Hardaway Jr. tackles the screener, that stuff.
Yeah,
and just daring the refs to call it. They were doing that stuff.
But that's the thing. It's Tim Hardaway Jr. Like man,
you're making my point for me though, because that's my whole point. They had that was their only chance. That's my point. That's exactly my point.
To me, it was less of the physicality. That I think it had an impact. I think it might be a little overrated, and it was more the concepts. And the concepts, like the strategic concepts, were introduced by Boston in game 1 of this season.
Yes.
And like the challenge is going to be the same because they're going to do the same things, but they're going to do it 12 times better than the Pistons do. And what I mean by that is Porzingis is never going to guard Towns.
Nope.
It's going to be Tatum on Towns. And look, I don't know if we want to get into the nitty-gritty, but like, what can Towns do with Tatum? We'll get into all that. But
I do want to get into Towns tonight, but continue.
It's going to be Tatum on Towns, and it's going to be Kristaps on Hart, and you're going to have to navigate that. But the other defenders on the floor, you're not going to run the Bridges screen to get Dennis Schroeder onto Brunson because there's no one to attack. Yeah. There's Derek White and there's Drew Holiday. And again, Brunson's had some success against those guys. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying you're taking the challenge that the Pistons presented and you were upping the skill level on both ends of the ball by a lot. And then on the other end,
spots on either side of the floor.
On the other end, it's going to be attacking Brunson in the pick and roll. Now, Cade in some ways is like really equipped to do that. And maybe there's not a guy on Boston who's but we've seen them crush Brunson with this coverage. It's going to be Tatum and it's going to be Derek White. And like, what are you going to switch with Brunson? And I think they're going to have to concede some more switches in that series. Like, it's not going to be hedge and recover the whole series like it was here because they shoot too well. Like, you can live with Tim Hardaway chucking 13 threes in a game because he's only going to make 4 of them.
Yeah.
But can you live with Derek White doing that? Can you So it's just and then obviously the Towns question of coverage. Okay, so we got how he's going to show on the ball every time. Okay, but now it's Kristaps Porzingis in the pocket who can just make the mid-range jump shot. Forget about Jalen Duren passing to Oscar Thompson. It's Kristaps Porzingis catching the ball in the middle with better shooters all around him. So it's just the same challenges, like just amplified by a gazillion. And what a great challenge for the Knicks to have to face, though. And it's exciting to see how they fare.
Yes, I completely agree with all of that. I think, again, I did not mean to imply for a second that this Pistons.
No, I know you did.
Yeah,
I know you did.
But I think, to your point about how the Knicks deteriorated in the fourth quarter tonight, I just think this Pistons team got in their heads. The way they played, the way they went about their business, I think it got in their heads, and I think it had them kind of shook up the entire series. Now, which is not to say that Boston is not in their heads in a different way, but I wonder how much that last game impacted that. Before I've kept you for too long as it is, I want to talk about two guys. Brunson is going to get a lot of love on the post game, and we don't. What is there to say about Jalen Brunson?
Can I say one thing about Brunson before we?
Sure. Yeah.
The baseline layup,
it was ridiculous.
His balance and strength is unparalleled.
Insane.
There's no one else in the league that can make that move. That was one of the craziest plays. I just don't understand how he did it, and the footwork in general in this game. A couple of times up faking and then finding a cutter, like just classic vintage. He's not that old, but I'm like Clyde. But classic, legendary performance by Jalen Brunson. Like the balance and the intelligence and the shot making, of course, was just exquisite. It was a pleasure and an honor to watch that man play tonight.
And it 40 points is 40 points, so the 15 points in the first quarter won't get lost in the sauce. But and also because like it didn't seem like a leads meant anything in this series. It's just like give the Knicks 15-point lead. Okay, doesn't matter. But for him to go out there in this game in that environment and stake them to the lead that he did, even though they gave it all back in the second quarter, I think was important. Okay, two guys we got to talk about. Well, actually, no. Let's hit on everybody, but we're going to do it briefly. Start with Cat. He was essentially a non-factor in the game.
Yeah.
We're not even going to talk about his defense. We'll talk about his defense over the next several days. His defense was not good. He was a non-factor offensively. What did you make of it? That's all I'm going to ask. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I thought in the second quarter they really ignored him, and I blame Brunson a little bit and maybe the coach a little bit for play calling. Like I thought that he had a very good, solid first quarter. And then I just thought they really he became an afterthought in the offense. And I think that's hard for a guy who likes to have the ball. And then he lost his edge. He lost his focus. There was a play that kind of, to me, like he got I can't remember who switched onto him. It was a small, and he,
yes.
And Bridges, I think it was, it happened. So I don't remember exactly, but someone tried to lob him the basketball after the mismatch. He just never fought for position, and it got stolen. And like, it looked like a bad pass, but I'm like, Cat, you just got, it might've been Schroeder. I don't remember who the switch was, but it was someone really small.
Tried to throw it to him and it was a guard on him.
And it was like, well, maybe Cat, try to spin and seal and get a dunk out of this. Like, what are you doing? And then obviously the pick and pop, where Brunson finally throws the pass. We've been begging him to throw. And Cat, look, OG probably shouldn't have cut, but Cat, you have to shoot the ball. Your whole purpose is to shoot that ball. So shoot it. It's why you exist. It is your essence. It is your soul. Shoot the ball. Yeah. So
look,
I thought a combination of those two things.
The next round is important for a lot of reasons organizationally. Julius Randle's coming off the best playoff series of his career. Not that it's had a lot of competition, but that Minnesota team looks like a decent bet to make the conference finals as of right now. If Julius keeps playing the way he's playing, and by the way he's playing, they're not asking him to do too much. They're just asking him to be solid. Go do what you do and be solid. The Knicks, because of how they're built, require more from Towns. So I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. That said, given that this was the way that Towns ended this series, and I think by and large, you'd have to look at this first round series and give Towns is it a B-? Is that too generous? Am I being too generous?
That sounds right. I can average out my grades and let you know. But yeah, B- sounds about right.
Yeah,
but like bipolar, like some great stuff, and then some totally two absent games. This one and game 2 were absent.
Yeah, the bad, and it's not, but it's worse than absent because it's defensive.
Yes.
So look, we've been saying it for 10 years. This is a big moment for Karl-Anthony Towns coming up against Boston. Let's just leave it at that. Mikal Bridges. Welcome to New York, I guess. It's been a tough season for him individually. It's been a tough season for people who were in on that trade. I think it's been a tough acclimation. If you told me that this was the series and maybe even that this was the game that in which like Mikal Bridges really became a Knick, and I don't want to say bought in because that implies something unseemly, but like just something happened, something clicked, something, whatever. if you told me that and that's what we get out of the season, I could probably talk myself into like, okay, then maybe it was all worth it. He was awesome tonight, and he was really good in this series. He was just really good in the whole freaking series, and I don't like what more if like. Can I say that this is the guy they traded for? This is the guy they thought they were trading for? It pretty close, right?
Yeah, I mean that tip-in is worth what, like 2 first-round picks?
I mean, it was the biggest. Brunson's shot was the shot of the series, but that was the second.
So if the tip-in's worth 2 first-round picks and him actually dunking on Cade instead of getting blocked at the rim is worth another first-round pick, so we got 2 to go. Let's see how he does in Boston. Maybe we just justify it all in one shot here.
There you go.
Yeah. I think his whole energy has been different. And I'm like a big press conference guy. I watch every press conference that's available. I think most of it, you get like 87% nonsense and 13% you can actually learn some stuff about what players are actually thinking. And you get a nugget here and there that you can use. And you also get vibes. And Mikal's whole energy has changed in the playoffs. On the court, off the court, he is more engaged. He's more animated. His emotion at the end of this game was awesome. He cursed at Mike Breen in his interview. That was awesome. Yep. Just a different guy. And the physicality he showed all series was a revelation that we were waiting for. And the dunk tonight, I know it seems silly, but man, like I'm waiting for some aggression at the rim. That's all we've been asking for is give me some aggression at the rim and give me some physical defense. And he played both of those things. I wish he shot the ball a little bit better.
Yeah.
But from 3, I mean, because he made all his 2s tonight, but from 3, I wish he shot the ball a little bit better. And that remains a little bit of a struggle, especially above the break. We've talked about it a million times. But
he made his last one. When was that?
So I was about to talk about that play. And that was after he tipped out an offensive rebound on that same possession. He tips out an offensive rebound.
That's right.
He fades out to the right corner. And all of a sudden, there's a little bit of trouble with Brunson and whoever else was in the action. And he circles around. And this is what I've always talked about with him. And his most valuable trait on this offense is the grease. His movement opens everything up. And he circles around the arc because he knows that Brunson's getting himself in trouble, circles around Brunson, a little handoff, and the left wing 3 from Bridges. It was a huge shot at the time.
It was the end of I highlighted it. It was the end of the third quarter, and it came. Yes, it was just a big possession. It was just a big possession in the game. It felt huge in the moment.
That's the stuff that no one else on the team provides, by the way, is the off-ball movement. He's really intuitive and smart and willing to cut into all the open space. Huge play for the Knicks. And yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy we've been waiting for. So welcome to the Knicks, Mikal Bridges.
Briefly, let's go hard first, and then we'll probably we'll finish with maybe the unsung hero of the series. Josh Hart, I thought he had a brutal first half in this game. I thought he played a lot better in the second half. I thought he made some Josh Hart plays.
Couple of huge offensive rebounds. Quick succession. One to keep a play alive, and then one finish at the rim. A dunk.
Finished with a double-double, 13 and 10, 2 offensive rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers. Don't love that. But it was a solid Josh Hart game. I will, again, we're going to talk a lot more about Boston. I'm happy your Patreon or your Tibbs comments on Patreon got some traction on the internet today because it was well deserved. Deuce McBride is borderline unplayable at the moment.
Yeah.
Are you encouraged generally by what you saw from Josh Hart in this series with the understanding that like it doesn't matter what he does to some extent against a really good defense that is really locked in? You're just going to be you're just going to be starting at a deficit, and there's literally nothing he could do other than, I guess, start taking and making a million threes. And he took 1 3 tonight. Was the only one? It was 1 for he made it. I think he's shooting like 50-something% for threes.
So look,
postseason. Yeah.
Talk about X's and O's and like great analysis. He made shots in this series.
Yes.
3.
Yes.
And you think that like even if it's low volume, God, that matters. And there was actually a play in the first half where he pump faked Durham from the corner, drove, and led to a bucket. Why does that happen? It's because he's made shots. If he hasn't made shots, no one's biting on his pump fake. And so, like, you get some gains there by just shooting them and making your share. That matters. That's really great analysis, but making shots matters. For him, it really matters.
No,
he made a bunch.
And like, again, I'm not saying the Knicks are going to go into this series like the Pistons went into this past series with like the idea of like, hey, is this house money? You know, because like there's expectations, a lot of expectations on this team. But how wild would it be if in game one against Boston, Josh Hart goes out there and attempts like 9 threes, makes 4 of it? Like, I'm not really going to get. Yeah,
and they will be more aggressive in how the extent to which they ignore him than even Detroit.
Yeah.
I think Hart's actually said he's in a recent interview. He said some teams like they'll play 5 feet off, but they're paying attention to me. Boston just turns their back on me. That's what he said, and he laughed, but it's true.
Boston is insanely good. Anything else on Hart, or I want to finish with OG?
I had something in my mind, and now I can't. No, it's all right. No, nothing else on Hart. Go ahead, OG. Unsung hero of the series. I think his defense was solid throughout. I think he was tired. I'm maybe putting it lightly. Maybe tired here and there, but like in terms of like if you look at this series and you're like, okay, what could the Knicks really depend on from the first opening tip of game 1 to the final moment of game 6? There's not a long list of things that the Knicks could depend on for that entire time. I think OG's defense was about as high, and tonight it was quiet. I didn't think that OG Anunoby was capable of having a quiet 22 points. That dude went out there and scored 22 points on 6 of 14 shooting. He got to the line 7 times, made 6, and he was 4 of 10 from 3. I know that percentage doesn't, I mean, it's 40%, but like 4 of 10 doesn't sound crazy. It's fantastic.
Man, this team needs, and when they needed those threes, and again, some big ones in the moment, they felt huge. I think this was a really nice series for OG Anunoby.
100%. Shoot more. Yeah, 10 threes is great, man. Like, get him up. Yeah, he was relentless defensively. Like
never gave in.
He just screen after illegal screen after screen after illegal screen after hug and he wouldn't go away. Now, sure helped the kid couldn't make a 3 because he could go under and get away with it at times. But throughout the whole series, the guy was just relentless defensively and almost has this ability to the way that Jalen Brunson can like dig up a bucket if he needs it. OG can cause a turnover when you need it. Like that is a rare trait. You don't have as much control defensively as you have offensively. It's one thing to be able to find a shot. It's another like, and unfortunately they didn't score on the turnover that he forced late in the game. I'm trying to remember the play, but you know what I'm talking about? He gets a deflection. Hart ends up with the ball. They didn't score on the other end. They missed
it was a dunk attempt by Hart, was it? Was that the dunk attempt by Hart, or was it something else?
It might have been. It might have been. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
They're all running into each other, but like he came out of a timeout. They were down, whatever they were down, 6-7. I don't remember exactly. And he's like, we need a turnover here. So let's get one. That is that's different. He's different and a different animal defensively.
Over under, do you think the bench averaged more or less than 12 points per game in this series?
Less.
Barely. I just did the math in my head and I forgot. It's like 11.7. Oh no, sorry. Sorry, to go back for a second. After the OG steal, it was Brunson missed a wide open 3.
Wide open 3. Yeah. Right. It's one of those two things. Yeah.
So,
I want to give credit though. Campaign big righty layup out of nowhere in the beginning of the fourth quarter. They needed that.
I wrote down that's why that's what was so frustrating about the Detroit run is the Knicks, the backups like kind of came in and did their job. Like when Jalen Brunson came in, I think it was the lead 7 at that point. I'll look it up right now. But like, you know, Campaign had a bad. Actually, no, sorry. He made one and then he missed one, which is it's fine, right? The and then it was the Bridges turnover. But as you pointed out, that was Cat not getting into position, and then there was a really bad Cat shot. It's a rough Cat game. I think we could leave it at that.
Yeah. And look, Deuce, I don't know what you say. Like he kind of crossed the Rubicon into like, oh, you have to get him out of the game, which I haven't said that about Deuce in ever, maybe. But like he became unplayable for a minute there. The turnover late where he got a pass underneath, dribbled out, tried to cross over, lost the ball, got consistently beat by Schroeder to the rim. He made a 3 tonight, so that's good. But look, I have faith in the player. I still believe in him, and I think he's going to. If they have any chance against Boston, he's going to have to make some shots and like do some good work. And so it was just a very disappointing performance, and kind of surprising in the sense that one thing I never thought Deuce lacked was confidence, and he looked like a guy without confidence in the second half tonight.
Yep. It was as rough a half from him as we've seen. By the way, when Brunson came back in, the lead was actually still 11. So campaign more than did his job tonight. I think I'm going to let you go. I could ask you about anything else you want to say? What, that was Andrew.
All right, Andrew.
Oh my God.
What is this? What's happening here?
I promised that I was gonna sing this fucking song. Can I do this later?
No, do it now.
We're really doing this? Look, if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, one moment, would you capture it or would you let it slip? Oh, God. Are we really doing this?
We don't have to.
Yes, we are.
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, he's vomit on his sweater already, mom's spaghetti, he's nervous.
On the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting.
What he wrote down. The whole crowd grows so loud, he opens his mouth, the words won't come out. He's choking out. Everybody's choking out. Clocks run out, time's up, the blow, snap. Reality, up there goes gravity, up there goes gravity. Joke, he's so mad, but he won't give up that. Is he? Nope, he won't have any notes. He goes back to his ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He goes back to this mobile home. That's what it's back
to the lab again, yo. So this whole rhapsody better go capture this moment and hope it don't pass him. Goodbye, Detroit. That was adorable. Jeremy, where are you? There's 3 L's in the LCA. Ladies and gentlemen, spell his name correctly. Jeff, help me out. His name is Captain Clutch. His name is not fuck you, Brunson. His name is not a mother flopper. It's Captain Clutch. And as of right now, he's your op because he sent you home. Boo louder. Boo louder. Knicks in 6. Good call, John. Good call, Benji. Knicks in 6.
So are you saying that Malik Beasley's arms are heavy? He's about to go home and eat mom's spaghetti?
Dude, all over his chest.
Is he shaking his butt still as he goes into the taxi home? What's he doing?
I have heard that his parents have a real nice marriage, so I'm happy for him. Like that's actually something that's commendable.
Did you hear? He went to Cranbrook. That's a private school.
Oh my God, Snapchat is about to go up. Y'all watching the stock market? Snapchat is about to be popping tonight because Malik Beasley 0-3 in the pizza arena.
You know what Jalen Brunson said tonight? Jalen Brunson said, "This world is mine for the taking. Make me king."
Oh, John, that was a bar. That was a fucking bar.
He's been holding on to that the whole game. Benji, they did it before Friday at sundown.
Yes,
you got to see that before. You did not have to emerge. You did not have to emerge into some bullshit for Game 7.
Wait, Well, what was Game 7 scheduled for?
Saturday night.
So you might have missed.
I would have missed the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who needs that? I don't need that hanging over me. I'm shutting my phone off and I'm not talking to any of you, and I'm gonna go to sleep and talk to other people.
Benji,
I'm excited about it.
What is it? What is it called again? I blanked out. Sabbath.
Yes.
Sabbath is Shabbat, right?
For one night only, I would have invoked the Sabbath too. Me and Benji's crib. They've been like,
MJ, anytime, man.
I'm not using
Come on over.
Technology. I'm reading the newspaper. I might turn butter in the back. I don't know what. I'm not exerting anything to watch that Game 7.
So
it would have been good content. Just shut off our phones. Nobody would have known where we were.
So I think we might let Benji go, but before we do, shout out to our good friends at Fanatics. You guys see the wardrobe change behind me, by the way. The brand new Jalen Brunson jersey that is now hanging over my right shoulder.
Oh, this is so weird.
What?
I don't see any.
Answer your phone then, Benji.
Can I show off my my fan cash shirt from Fanatics?
Yes, please do.
Oh yeah,
I
just show off the swag you got. Yeah,
This is the one that I picked. It has all the symbols throughout history of the franchise right here.
That's beautiful, John. That actually is beautiful.
That is a gorgeous shirt that you were given by Fanatics.
They gotta make a poster.
Oh, I used my fan cash on this, baby.
Yeah, your fan cash.
With our fan cash. Yes.
Yeah.
I used fan cash on this. Shout out to my winnings over at Fanatic Sportsbook, which we will now get into for betting and sweating. Jeff, do you have any quick thoughts before? Oh, you want to stay on? Let's go over your bets.
For betting and sweating. Let's see how much money I lost.
Any thoughts before you get out of here?
No, I've talked too much. All right. Hey, see you guys. Game 1, Boston, eh?
Hell yeah.
Looking forward
to Boston.
May all your pin down screens free you up for the shots that you can take.
Amen. Oh, Brunson, please. Captain Clutch! Captain Clutch!
Send them the fuck home. Sean, what time is it?
4.3.
Sean, what time is it?
The nickel package.
The nickel. We call it the nickel. Cross you out your fucking shoes. You can't hold him. You can't grab him. You can't stop him. I don't care if he missed double digits. He hit that one.
4-14, baby.
Florida Wiseman.
The king of clutch time.
Florida Wiseman.
The god of game-winning buckets.
You can only hold to contain him.
One fucking stop. I am sick of this shit.